Please care for each other as I have for you. Promise me, Tessa.
Report in. What's your status?
I'm coming for you. I promise.
So this is what I have in mind. So Francis, we're gonna have you right here. And action. At its core, Instinct is a story about family. Originally, it was a much larger story. We had so many different elements going on, due to various time constraints or limit of resources. We decided to condense it into something that was doable.
Claire!
We have two sisters, Tessa and Claire. They find themselves stranded in this remote location.
Me and my sister have maybe had a little bit of a falling out, and we've just kind of reconnected.
As the younger sister who she's basically thrown into somewhere that she completely doesn't understand. I've had different perspectives on things, but now we're all in the same situation.
And I kind of wake up and I'm all alone and I'm super injured, and then I find my sister and we get captured.
We don't really know why they're there or what their intentions are, but we know it's not good.
And they find my sister and they actually take her from me, and that's kind of when I guess you could say my instincts kick in.
She's more like a thorn in the side, and then, oh crap, some girl's killing off my men, so I'm going to do something about it myself.
We knew that we had to make it seem gritty and real, and in order to pull this off and make it look convincing, I needed to find someone who knew what they were doing.
I've got pretty much everything you need in this little toolbox. We had 3 stages of makeup where she started out kind of a bit bruised. There are some nicks, maybe she had fallen through some branches. And then as it progressed, she got more and more dirty. There's more dirt spray used, a lot of dirt spray used. There are more serious scrapes. And then as we got to the phase 3, she had some silicone prosthetics, more dripping blood. There was some in the hairline, through the nose. There was a broken nose, deeper bruising, that kind of thing. So it made it look a lot more serious.
I have to go save my little sister. She just made me look so much cooler than I actually am. I look super beat up. Like, my parents actually thought that I got hit by a car.
This is your general road rash kind of effect. It can be more serious or less serious. The more darkness you have, the dirtier, that kind of thing. It's mostly used for stage 1 probably injuries, but you can definitely, if you make it bigger or that kind of thing, use it for phase 3. I know I used it through pretty much all of the phases with Carissa.
I wake up and I go to get up, and then I realize I have a huge branch through my leg.
We had to make that convincing in order for the rest to pay off.
Obviously, you can't pull a stick through someone's actual leg. So we had 2 different effects for the stick scene, where we wanted a stick that could be on her leg so she could fall, maybe limp around a bit with it on. So that was the Velcro appliance that we used. And then we put the same pants over that. We got 2 pairs, one for the foam appliance, and that was for when she actually pulled the stick out of her leg. And so yeah, that was rigged with blood and all that stuff.
She had it set up so that when we pulled it out, this pump would pump some of the blood out, but it was a pump that you had to control by your mouth.
It was a bit of a challenge. The blood didn't want to go where it was supposed to go.
Her pump would get stuck sometimes, and it would just do this weird little
Oh yeah.
Nothing's going on. So the syringe wasn't working.
I don't know if it's getting
Now the blood comes out nice. Oh.
Another method I use is I blow through the tube, and then it'll come out and you get more of a oozing.
She's just going
That was also pretty difficult, and I was getting really rather lightheaded. So we had to use gravity. So I'm up above Carissa, blowing in this tube, trying to get the blood to come out the leg. And well, it was interesting, for sure.
We're pretty professional, dare I say.
It was really cool. She did an amazing job. It came out looking really, really good.
It was interesting to like look at Faisal as like he's this gentle giant he is, but then you're like, all right, no, he's definitely like this guy with this massive tattoo who wants to kill you.
For the big bad, or the main mercenary, we don't really know too much about him. To have Tessa going around in the woods trying to save her sister, and in so doing picking off his men one by one, he's kind of irate by the end of it all.
Fire once and then just pause, look around, and keep walking. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself.
Madison did this really cool kind of like dark tattoo on his face, so he looks very different than the rest of the people.
It was really cool to have like a facial tattoo, something like Mike Tyson, but it's kind of like tribal, so something like what people would have in New Zealand or something like that.
We wanted a tribal-like tattoo, so I drew up a few designs and we decided this one was pretty cool.
He's just so intimidating. The big boss on the level, you know, the big challenge, like the thing I have to overcome to get to my family that's on the other side. So there's a part where it's like pull my big arrow back and I'm about ready to just like nail this guy and he catches my arrow. It's kind of like a oh crap moment.
I didn't know how it was going to work actually, because I thought like, do I actually have to catch an arrow that's just shooting at me? Or I found out later on that it looks like I actually caught this arrow, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a contrast to what I am actually in real life, which is kind of an interesting thing to feel. So I enjoyed doing that, just to see the other side of me that I don't usually portray.
You know, so we're dealing with the heat.
Definitely a challenge was the mosquitoes.
There's so many mosquitoes.
So I got bit like everywhere.
My back was just plastered. It was like I felt like I had the chicken pox again, like we had just everywhere. Thank goodness my legs were covered.
Spider web in my hair. It's my worst nightmare. Okay, we're gonna do it.
Carissa's such a trooper. She put up with all of my demands, all of my everything.
I could have lost.
Carissa's certainly something.
Tear each other's fingers off. No!
The stick is starting to crackle.
I just want to know what you're doing under this big tree. Call me.
I don't think I've ever encountered something quite like Carissa.
So we had a day where
And this storm was coming in, and we're like, okay, rather than fight that, let's see if we can use that.
the raindrops were really thick and it just looked a lot more dramatic than it really was.
I look over at Carissa, she looks at me and kind of just goes,
Yep, we're doing this.
This is what happens when you go full out. It's real fun. Woo!
yeah, that's Carissa. Frank, basically what's going to happen is she's going to be where I am. This is where the headshot's going to come from. So don't worry, she's not going to be shooting an actual arrow at you. I think.
Having my brother as the director is sort of an interesting situation.
If you are doing a film with Neville, expect a lot of and cut. Faisal, can you try maybe doing...
And one more time, just let's have it angled just a little bit like that. Yeah, that's great. Let's do it one more time. And we'll do that one more time. And let's do one more. Can you crouch a little bit lower? Just because I'm trying to get the... Yeah. Let's do that one more time. Yeah. And can you point the nozzle out just a little bit out that way? And one more time. That was really great, guys. Mark, can you drop a little bit quicker?
Neville's like, gives the dreaded, okay, one more time. And you're just like, oh, right.
I don't know how many takes we took.
Oh yeah, that scene was good. Yeah, it was really good.
You want to do that a second time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have one take that I really like, but I'm like, yeah, but one more. That's great. Let's just do that sitting up part one more time. And zing! Fall down. One more time, and then I think we...
He was a bit demanding, but you know, you kind of get used to it.
A little bit quicker hands there, Carissa, but I like the shape.
Okay.
He loves when there's a lot of textures in the scene.
Oh, that's lovely.
So we'd always be like rubbing dirt on everything, and I'd be like, Neville, do you need some more texture? He'd be like, that would be great.
I think there's a lot of perfectionist in him.
Everyone put up with my one more, two more, three more. It was great.
I think he's very open-minded, which is pretty awesome. Like, we do things that I wouldn't even expect.
A little exasperating, but it's a lot of fun.
So nice and so much fun to work with, and makes everyone at ease and pushes you to your limit without making you feel like you're gonna get injured.
Oh god, I just broke my boob. Ow.
Most of the time.
So yeah, for one of the scenes, we wanted Carissa to take a rock and hit the guy over his face.
It was Tessa's first kill. She doesn't have any weapons at this point, and within moments, she's got this hatchet hurled at her by Trust, who's this jacked
African-American gentleman.
Oh god.
And then he's sitting on me and I have to grab a rock and kind of smash him in the face.
The blood to like splatter over the camera and
We'll do that again. Did I get any of that on?
I took quite a few takes of that one. It's like a zesty mint kind of flavor.
Oh, I got a hold of me too.
It's not the best.
Apparently he thought it tasted fantastic.
He must have used like a quarter of the stage blood in that one scene.
Madison was kind of looking at her jug like, please finish this sooner rather than later.
So with that same scene,
This stereotypical suburban family comes by and is just like sitting there with his hands around my throat being like, no, we're just acting, I swear.
definitely needed some explanation.
From their point of view, it was probably like, oh, this isn't sketch at all.
It's like, hey, this is art.
I haven't much time. The doctors have done all they can, so I'll need you to be strong. Ignore the pain and listen.
For the overarching sort of story, the final words of the father character, we needed a voice that could really convey that emotion.
Yeah, it was a very opportune situation. Neville came to me and said, you know, we're looking for someone with a deep voice, a mature voice, sounds like the father. And I found that it was very easy to kind of adapt as best I could.
And the idea was that I was very close to my father and that we're supposed to be kind of very similar. And the last words ringing in my head are the ones about how, like, don't give up on your family, don't give up on your sister. And so it's kind of part of that motivation to do what she does and to be strong when you're scared.
He's on his deathbed and he really wanted to make as close a contact as he could with his daughter and advise her as best he could, and the two sisters were at odds. And I thought that was kind of nice, the father attempting to bring them together.
I thought that was really interesting. It gives a whole, like, different, deeper dynamic to the characters.
And it became quite easy to kind of, you know, offer advice to your daughter who's in a difficult situation. So it all somehow it convolutes and comes together, yeah.
For some of the sound effects too, like a lot of the sounds, we weren't too far from what you would consider civilization, so a lot of roads and cars. So we had to go back in and re-record some sounds and whatnot, what's known as foley artistry. That's where you've got unconventional items that can make sounds for what you're seeing on screen. So for example, for the bow, I ended up using an old sort of pizza box, and by ringing it together, you're able to get this sort of creaking sound as if you're drawing a bow back. Oranges, apples, whatnot, just to give it that fleshy texture. Knives, axes, impacts, you name it. It was fun to do. And of course we get to the editing stage, and we had so many shots that it was painful just to go in and cut.
And you must not hesitate as you face evil.
So once the edit is done and the sound effects are done, that leaves one key component.
I didn't want to go to... I knew after talking with Neville that I wanted strings, I wanted heavy strings and piano in there. So I started there. That's kind of the core of the sound. I'd say I'm definitely very influenced by video game music. I played a lot of video games growing up, and that's probably in there somewhere. So I wanted something like not too heroic, but not too dark either. But yeah, so the way I started was watched it a bunch of times, got inspired, and then I went to the piano. And then I went from there. Then I just orchestrated and built out, lined everything up, came up with hits and shots, and, you know, made my marker tracks. Just it just evolved. That was fun.
Overall, it was so much fun. It's absolutely nothing like who I am as a person. I got to be really serious and intense and try to look really cool, which was very much thanks to our director Neville and Madison, our makeup artist. I would definitely do it again, and I'm super excited for Neville to throw at me whatever he plans in the future, whether it's more bugs or crawling through the dirt or
jumping out of airplanes. Not yet.
But no, it was a lot of fun.
It was just a really all-around fun experience. Thanks, guys.
Instinct was a blast, and I was really, really fortunate, very blessed to have such an awesome team to work with, and yeah, I look forward to doing it again.
you just get all the details. And I forgot the question.